wasn't supposed to be how it happened.
We're still sinking. If you're the man I think you are, you know what you have to do. Take my gun. Now, Wrecker, shoot out the window. Negative, don't do it. Shoot out the window, you all die.
Life's a game, but it's not fair. I break the rules, so I don't care. So I keep doing my own thing. Victories within the mile. Almost there, don't give up now. Only thing that's on my mind is who gonna run this town tonight.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me. My name is Kevin, and this is KTG Armory. Today we are going over a build that I have loved for a very long time, and that is the SCAR H from Battlefield 4, particularly the build from the campaign. With Battlefield 6 right around the corner, I thought it was the perfect time to revisit this build. I'm going to be doing some kit videos and builds from the new game, but before all of that, kind of comes into fruition, I thought it would be perfect to kick things off going over a build that really started my love for the Battlefield franchise and the games, and for kit and building in general. And that would be this build right here, Daniel Recker's SCAR H from the Battlefield 4 campaign. Let's get into it. Now, a quick disclaimer, this is not mine. The attachments and things are mine. However, the base rifle, this is an airsoft version. I am not rich enough to afford an actual SCAR H in full auto. This is not mine. This is on loan for me from Modern Night Productions. They have very graciously allowed me to use this for this video, so big shout out to them. And then everything else on here is mine that I purchased my own hard-earned money, blood, sweat, and tears, and things that my wife says I spend too much money on. Just so y'all can tell, this is an airsoft version. There is not anything to be had in the chamber, so we don't have to worry. Now, Battlefield 4 released back in October of 2013, almost 12 years ago at this point. It is an old game, but it is one that was one of the first really FPS shooters that I truly got into. I remember watching all of the trailers when they came out. I remember playing the game, and it has such a near and dear spot to my heart, and kind of what got me a lot into guns, gear, and things of that sort. And for the longest of times, I have wanted to recreate the iconic SCAR H from that campaign. It's the first weapon you start out with, and I really wanted to do it right, get really into the details of it, and sadly, I did not get it completely right in this video, but I got it, I think, close enough to truly make a video on it. Yeah, I think that's a great segue into what it is we have on this particular build. So, in the game, you just have a base SCAR H. There's nothing really spectacular done to it. There's no extra, M-lock rails or anything like that. It's just your standard SCAR H, and that's partially why I love it. Simplicity is key in some instances. Up in the front, I have not done this because this is one of the things that I immediately recognized was going to be a difficulty when recreating a gun from a video game, and that is that whenever they add attachments or things, generally it just slaps on top of whatever it is at the front end of the gun. So they have a muzzle brake, which I'm unable to attach because if you actually look at the photos and the screenshots, the muzzle brake just sits right on top of this flash hider, and that doesn't actually work in real life. You can't just slap it on there. I'm sure most of y'all know that. But that being said, I did not add the muzzle brake because I felt that would remove the flash hider, remove kind of a lot of the aesthetic of the rifle. You can't really see it, it's up at the front, and it doesn't really, work for the aesthetic that I'm trying to go for, so I decided not to go for it. However, I was able to get partially close on everything else. If we look over on the right-hand side, when you're first inspecting the weapon, you can see that you've got a red laser on the side. Now, this is a PEC 2. This is incredibly dated for 2020. This should never have been on the rifle, but it's another thing you can tell when it comes to video games, in that the developers are just like, that looks cool, let's put it on the gun. Or they're working with what they have at the time, 2013. Even for 2013, the PEC 2 would really have been a dated module. You should have seen a PEC 15, PEC 16. 2020, Really, you're looking at like maybe an angle or something like that would have been seen on this rifle. But because we're going with the, you know, the aesthetic of what was being used in game, we've got a PEC 2. On the bottom, you've got a Magpul AFG. Now, I thought originally it was an AFG 2. I was mistaken. So this is an AFG 2. This is the second generation of the AFG. The original game has an AFG 1. You can tell because up here at the top there's going to be a little bit more of a flaring of the handguard. I did not have an AFG 1 lying around, sadly, and I didn't realize that really until like yesterday, and there was not enough time to get an AFG 1. So we have an AFG 2 on here. It's in tan in the game. It works ergonomically. This is not a wonderful setup because the PEC 2 kind of gets in the way, but the AFG definitely allows you to index the rifle well, pull it into your shoulder, and since you would be using this on full auto, you need a little bit more, you know, control as you're using it. Moving on to the back, what I originally thought they had was going to be relatively correct for what the military would have had, and that would have been an SU-231. It is not an SU-231. I think it is actually a tan EOTech 552, if Google is assisting me in this. But from what I can tell, they really just took a site and did another video game thing where they said, that looks cool, let me take it, I'm going to make a 3D model of it and put it on the gun. This is more of what you would have had. This is what was issued to all of SOCOM for use on their rifles. MARSOC had them, the Navy SEALs had them, the Green Berets had them, and so I went with the EOTech, or not the EOTech, I went with the military version, the SU-231. I don't exactly know the model number of this, what this would be per se from EOTech if you were to buy it on the civilian model, but I know you can see on the side it's got the military markings, and so that's why I went with that. Otherwise, this is a really simple rifle setup. How does it handle? How does it feel? Honestly, the SCAR takes a little bit of getting used to if you're coming from another platform. It is rather compact for being a 308, you know, build, but at the same time, it's a bit unwieldy. It's a very large rifle that you're trying to maneuver around and change. The controls are all in the M4 pattern, which is very nice. It allows you to really quickly, you know, move safe, semi, and auto. A weird quirk about the SCAR, though, is that the safe is on the bottom, then it goes to 1, and then it goes to full auto. I'm not entirely sure why they decided to go with that scheme. They're Belgian, so maybe it has something to do with them being Belgian. But it's very easy to go from safe all the way up into auto really quickly, and you don't really want that to happen. You want it generally, if you're using this on a day-to-day basis, whether it be airsoft, real life, whatever it is, you want semi-auto because it gives you more control over what it is that you're shooting at and the number of rounds that you're putting, or BBs that you're putting downrange at that thing. But yeah, it's a relatively good setup. I really much like it. The nostalgia is going hard for this build. I think there are better builds that could have been had and most certainly would have been had by the operators in Battlefield 4 since it's set in 2020. Most likely they would have been running some type of URGI variant, maybe a 416, but with them being MARSOC, it probably would have been a URGI or a Mark 18 is what they should have been using. But from the nostalgia points and just the overall cool factor, I really think that the SCAR scratches that itch. It's a great, great platform for those who love it. Some will hate it and say it's the absolute worst platform in the world. I love the SCAR, I love how it feels, and it was super fun and enjoyable to get this build. If y'all want to see me do any more, you know, video game type builds, I might think about doing something from Modern Warfare. I won't be doing anything from like Escape from Tarkov or Arma or anything like that, because those are built around weapon customization and making it realistic. But I would be more than happy to do anything from the other video games out there where you're kind of handed a rifle and you got that nostalgia factor and you really want to feel it. But everyone, thank you so much for joining me. Like I said, if you want to see me do something else in the future, by all means, leave a comment down below. And I will see y'all next time.